Today, I have pulled from the Kabbalah deck. We've pulled the Nezah card, which means eternity. And this is the description. Sensual figures representing the instincts and also our preoccupation with pleasure and pain. And it's depicting these two characters who are in love and they're in an intimate moment and they're completely at rest and at peace. And they could receive the whole thing and be, take in all of the sensual pleasures of, 5 senses or more if you're in tune to that kind of thing. And I think that nowadays we have, and probably for a long time, we have so many fucked up issues around relaxing into peace or joy or pleasure or true love, because it's terrifying. It brings up so many fears and so many vulnerabilities, and this is what is sort of like the cycle of what happens to people. But most of us are in some sort of discomfort because we are anxious about the fact that we feel we want to be joyful. What if we're not going to be happy ever? What if we're not going to get the things that we want? What if we're going to be frustrated for all of eternity? What if we'll never have enough? What if, and we spend so much time just being in sort of this low-level distress about things that haven't ever happened yet. Or struggling in the woulda, coulda, shouldas. It's just, that causes chronic stress, chronic discomfort, chronic distress, chronic dis-ease. And it eventually plays out in a manifestation where you're in a self-fulfilling prophecy because you've vibrated at this constant level of anxiety. And so you're going to have situations that are going to come up that are going to reflect your truth of anxiety, because that's what you're vibrating. When you discover that the universe is vibrational, it makes a lot of your anger with spirituality and religion sort of dissipate, because you realize it's not like someone's punishing you. It's just there's a system of, the way things happen, like gravity. And if you know how that works, then it's oh, okay, well, I can do something about this. It's you take the responsibility and then you empower yourself. We're co-creators with the divine. We're not victims of circumstance. Another level of fear comes in when you've had trauma and it was terrifying, legitimately, and it keeps you afraid. And this is what usually happens. You have every right to be, traumatized by a traumatic situation. The problem is that usually we also feel that we're so busy. We think that we're so busy. We think that everybody, needs us to be the strong one. We think the world's going to crumble if we don't, show up. And so we just pretend that we weren't traumatized, or we tell ourselves that we weren't, and we're in denial about it, and we just try to buck up and keep going. And what that does is it bottles it all inside of you, and you store trauma in your body, in your energy body, and it causes blocks in your aura and in your chakras, and it mucks up all your energy, and it just sits there and you're unaware of it. And so it plays out through your subconscious, where you're constantly on edge and you're scared, but you're not dealing with it. And so then you just keep attracting more scary events and more obstacles, and it just starts cycloning. And then you've got the plagues of Egypt raining down on you. You're in a downward spiral to rock bottom, and you're like, why is all this happening to me? And it's only because you're not consciously aware of these thoughts. There's a difference between having an unconscious tape running of horror stories and being conscious of these fears when they come up. And so when they come up, try to be the observer and realize that you're not these thoughts. You're actually an eternal being that's completely connected to God inside of that person. Like, that's who's looking out of your little peepers and out into the world. And so when you think these thoughts, just realize that they're not necessarily attached to you. They're just clouds floating through. And they're memories, and that thing is not happening to you now, and it doesn't have to happen to you again. And you are in this moment with these thoughts, and you can relive them, and you can feel compassion for your feelings and honor them. And if you're afraid, be like, man, I'm afraid, and pray about it, and like tell God and your angels, like, I'm afraid, will you help me? Like, they will, and you will feel better. And just sit in meditation and calm yourself down and take some salt baths and pray about it and baptize yourself, and it will eventually start washing out of your thoughts and out of your system. But every time the fear comes up, you've got to give it up. You've got to release it over to something bigger than yourself. But don't deny the thought. If you're angry, be angry. Tell God that you're angry. If you're sad, honor the sadness, but don't hold on to it longer than you need to. Think about it as something that you ate energetically, that you need to digest through your system, take the nutrients from it that you need, learn what you can from it, and then let it go. Don't get all constipated, energetically blocked up. Take that dump. Take that energetic dump. So anyway, we release these things because they're waste, and we move on, and we start fresh. And so this is, about vibrational purification, about emotional purification, about self-help, all of those things, all of, your spiritual work is, the goal is to help you find peace, that you're being taken care of by your Creator, by God. He's always watching you, And if that's not enough, He's giving you angels to help you out and assist you. The other day, it was supposed to rain. It was supposed to thunderstorm all day on 4th of July. And I was like, not again. It's happened too many years in a row. And I've been practicing a little weather witching every now and then. And I was just like, God, we are not going to let this rainstorm. So I just prayed and asked the angels to help out too. And I started playing songs about sunshine, like the Beatles. And Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I shit you not, right when the song changed to Let the Sunshine, the clouds broke and the sunshine just came through, and everybody had a good time, and it didn't rain. So yeah, receive your peace. Be able to lie down in green pastures. It restoreth your soul, and it's, God's telling you to in the Bible over and over again. He wants you to be at peace. He tells us to do this. He tells us to give Him the burden. If we can find peace within our happiness or within our pain, then that is freedom that no one can take from you. And the third level of sort of emotional anxiety that we experience is what Brené Brown calls foreboding joy. And that is so genius, because I've had foreboding joy forever and I didn't know what to call it or what it was. And because of her emotional research, she has been able to figure it out. And foreboding joy is that sense when, everything's finally good, everything's leveled out, and you're at peace, and everything seems peaceful. But you're just feeling this ominous sense that something is on the horizon, that the rug is going to get ripped out, that it's all going to go wrong again, that you'll never escape this curse that you're under. And this gray cloud is just going to catch up to you sooner or later. And that is a problem too, because then you're making yourself sticky for sticky situations. It's the whole thing comes down to how you feel. How you feel is how you're going to vibrate. And I can try to tell myself to think positively about a situation and try to find the good parts of it all day long. But if I'm still feeling frantic and chaotic, that's what I'm going to live out there. That's how the situations are going to play out. So if you're in a hairy situation right now, the best thing you can do is take time out for a couple of days. Don't, talk to anybody about it. Don't make any important decisions, and just pray and meditate and get calm and peaceful. And then your vibration will be more neutral, and that way the situation can flow with greater harmony and ease. So again, we'll go over the meaning of eternity card. Sensual figures representing the instincts and also our preoccupation with pleasure and pain. So, our ego is the darker side of our instincts that try to protect us, so to speak, through fear. But there are certain healthy, fearful instincts that do protect us. But then there's just the ego that's trying to protect the small self from the big self. And the small self wants you to stay afraid, wants you to stay in your safe little fenced-in boundaries and not expand your light out into the world, because then that would mean the death. Where will the shadow go, if the light is shining in every direction, and you just have to recognize it's just always going to be there, sewn to you. We aren't Peter Pan. He was always clinging to his shadow. He could have rose above it. He could fly, but he chose to cling. It's a whole other story. All right, well, this was all so much information, I couldn't write it down or type it in fast enough, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Hope your every moment is graced with light, love, and magic. I hope you enjoyed the tree frogs and the cicadas. Peace.